You earn $100,000 a year, a number that once sounded like financial success, yet somehow your bank account still feels tight, almost like you're earning closer to $40,000. And that discomfort isn't random, it's structural. Imagine a typical young professional in the United States or Europe making $100,000 after taxes that quickly drops to around $70,000 take-home, which becomes roughly $5,800 a month. And from there the compression begins. Rent or mortgage takes about $2,000, a normal apartment, not luxury, leaving $3,800. Transportation with car payments, insurance, and fuel quietly eats another $800, bringing it down to $3,000. Then utilities, phone, internet, and subscriptions remove another $600, leaving $2,400. Student loans take around $400. And now you're at $2,000 before even accounting for food, social life, or unexpected expenses. So despite earning six figures, your usable money starts resembling a much lower income lifestyle. The reason this happens isn't reckless spending but gradual adjustment. As income rises, lifestyle expands just enough to absorb it. A slightly better apartment, a more convenient car, more services, nothing extreme, just incremental upgrades shaped by environment and social expectations. Because people don't measure success through math, they measure it relative to others, and when your peers upgrade, maintaining your old lifestyle can feel like falling behind. So fixed expenses grow quietly, and once they exist, they rarely shrink, creating a long-term effect where two people earning the same $100,000 live completely different financial realities. One keeps fixed costs stable and builds savings over time, while the other expands obligations and stays financially tight for years, not out of lack of intelligence, but because of structure. And that's the real difference financially aware people understand. They don't focus on how big their salary is. They focus on how much of it is already committed before the month begins. Because the more income locked into fixed costs, the less freedom it provides, which is why a high salary can still feel restrictive while a slightly lower one with controlled expenses can feel spacious. So if your $100,000 salary feels smaller than expected, it's not in your head. It's the math of modern living. And once you see that clearly, you stop measuring success by income alone and start seeing it through flexibility and control. And if you extend this pattern over time, the long-term impact becomes even clearer, because each salary increase that gets absorbed into a higher-cost lifestyle removes the compounding effect that money could have created. For example, if that same person earning $100,000 managed to keep their core expenses closer to a $60,000 lifestyle and consistently retained even $1,000 per month, over 10 years, that's $120,000 before any investment growth. And with modest returns, it becomes significantly more, but in the more common scenario that extra income is quietly redirected into higher rent, better cars, frequent upgrades, and convenience-based spending, which provides short-term comfort but eliminates long-term leverage. And this is where the system subtly works against people, because most financial decisions are framed around monthly affordability rather than total cost. A car isn't seen as $30,000. It's seen as $500 per month. An apartment isn't $24,000 per year. It's $2,000 per month, and this framing disconnects people from the real scale of their financial commitments, making it easier to accept higher fixed costs without feeling the full weight of them. And over time, this creates a life where income must continuously stay high just to maintain stability, removing flexibility, increasing dependence on the job, and making any disruption feel risky, which is why financially aware individuals tend to think in reverse. They don't ask how much they can afford monthly. They consider how much of their future income they are locking away with each decision. And they recognize that every fixed expense is not just a cost, but a long-term obligation on their time and energy. So instead of upgrading quickly with every raise, they allow gaps to form between income and lifestyle, gaps that eventually turn into savings, investments, and optionality. And that optionality is what actually creates the feeling people expect from a six-figure income, not the income itself, but the control over it. So the difference between feeling financially tight and financially stable at $100,000 is rarely about earning more. It's about how much of that income remains flexible after the system, expectations, and gradual upgrades take their share. And once that perspective shifts, the same salary can start to feel very different, not because the number changed, but because the structure around it did. And if you found this kind of breakdown useful, You can subscribe for more clear and realistic insights like this.